Hey, all you Gates users around the world, this is John with Gates Underwater Products, and I'm here to guide you through the setup of the PLA80 PeriProbe adapter for Gates housings. Now, as many of you are aware, this is the second generation of probe lens from Leiwa, part of Venus Optics. The original probe lens came out several years ago, for which Gates made an adapter kit that was hugely popular and used to create, to capture images that were used in natural history productions around the world. So it's a great lens for shooting small, tiny critters in a close focus, wide angle manner. Well, now the next generation from Leiwa is here with all the same great features as the original, but with one major improvement that was requested by users, and that is to have both a straight probe on the end, which is interchangeable now with a right angle probe barrel on the end. So you can switch between the two to get straight or right angle imaging. And further, this probe lens rotates, the barrel rotates on its axis to allow you to shoot the 90 degrees in any direction, which is just hugely versatile for the next generation product. So we're going to walk through the installation of the adapter kit. And what I have in front of me here is our deep weapon housing that is one of several housings that for which the adapter kit can be used. The others are the Airy Mini, the Pro Action Pro Explore, and even the Komodo housing can accept this adapter kit with certain configurations on the stackable port rings between the housing and the probe adapter kit. So I'll go through this in a minute, but I just want to make the point that I'm using the deep weapon as an installation platform, but this can be used on several Gates housings. Get in touch with us about what those configurations look like and get you set up properly for each one. Okay, now I'm going to get into the setup. So let's take a closer look. So let's go through the parts of the PLA80 system. First in the kit are two flex gears that I've pre-installed onto the lens here over the existing focus and iris gears on the barrel. By installing these flex gears, it gives you finer control of both focus and iris in an underwater shooting situation. Now you'll notice I've also pre-installed the lens gear drives on the deep weapon housing. Those of you familiar with the housing know how to install these. It's all part of the standard kit, so I won't go through that. I've also pre-installed here something you probably have in your kit for the deep weapon, which is a PE160 port extender. This is necessary when I get to adding stackable port rings in the setup to bring it out further. And if you don't have the PE160 in your kit, then this will be necessary for the setup. So again, back to the part about configuration, get in touch with us about all the parts you're going to need, what you may have, may not have already to do this. So, two flex gears. We have two locking rings, one for the inside and one for the outside of the PeriProbe cone, which will be the furthest part out away from the housing, as you'll see in a moment. I have a sealing O-ring that will go on the outside, and I have four split rings that will be used on the inside and the outside to bring the diameter of the cone down around close to the barrel. This will become clear in a moment when I go through it. Okay, so flex gears, retaining collars, split rings, sealing O-ring, cone, and the stackable port rings, again, are part of the configuration. You may or may not have these. Not included with the PLA80 kit, but maybe something that's necessary if you don't already have them. Okay. So, to go through the setup, as I've mentioned, I pre-assembled a number of things. I've got the lens onto the red DSMC2 camera. I've got the flex gears in place, lens gear drive set up. So I'm I've got control now, and I've checked my control of the lens focus and iris gears with this, and all looks functionally good. I'm happy with that. So now we're going to proceed to next put the stackable port rings on, which in this case, I've got my PE160, and I've got an additional SPR 200, 126, and 100 for a total stack up of 4.26 inches, which is the right number for the deep weapon setup. All right, as always, make sure that your O-ring is lubricated for installation, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on. I'm going to release the lock so it will lock in place when I get to the right point. And I start with my lock at the very top, rotate it into position, and it locks in place. All good. So now, I'm going to show you how this locking ring and the split rings will work before installing it on the probe lens, so you get an idea how this will go. So once I have it on, I'm then going to put into position 2 split rings that will go around the barrel, making the diameter of the hole there now smaller than it was originally, to allow you to get it onto the barrel of the lens. All right, so when I get those 2 in place, I will then follow it with the locking ring, which has a small indicator on it, the dot, to go from unlocked to locked position. So I'll simply position that in place and rotate until it stops. And that will retain these 2 split washers in place in the cone. Make sense? Okay, I'm going to repeat this now, but I'm going to put it onto the probe lens. So I'll take the locking ring off, take my split washers off. I will start. I have to remove the lens protector here to get this all on. So I'll start by putting this on and then just setting it right there out of the way. Next, I'm going to bring the cone over the barrel and very carefully get it past the lens. And now that I have it like this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the split washers in now around the barrel. So there's 1, and there's 2. Okay, so I've got them locked into position in there. And the next thing I'm going to do now is bring my locking collar into position where I showed you before with the dot on the unlocked position. Press it in and rotate to the locked position. All right, so now I've got this interior part set up. The next thing is I'm going to mate it to the stackable port rings and rotate it into a locked position. So in this case, my lock is going to start at the very bottom and rotate 90 degrees to the catch on the opposite side. So I'll go ahead and do that. Press it into position and rotate until it locks. You hear the lock. There we are. Okay. So now we're in good shape. We've got the SPRs on. We've got the cone on with the retaining collar in the back with the split rings. Let me bring this around a little further. The next step is going to be to install the O-ring, the sealing O-ring on the outside, followed by 2 more split rings and a locking collar. So let's walk through that. In this case, I'm going to lubricate this again. Now, when you put this on, you may get some lubricant over onto the glass of the PeriProbe. That's perfectly okay. It'll come off with some mild cleaner or just a microfiber cloth. And a reminder, never clean glass with cotton or anything abrasive. You always want to use a microfiber or something like that. So I'm just going to put this over. And now I'm going to push it into position. Now you'll notice that I'm getting it into, there's a small recess here where I can get the O-ring buried in there. So that's good. That's where we want it for installing the new split rings and the locking collar. So as you might imagine at this point, the split rings have a very good purpose. When I put them on and lock them or push them in, that's what's going to make the O-ring that's in there is going to retain it and put some compression on it to make a seal around the barrel. And by the way, if you didn't know this, the PeriProbe actually comes with a sealed barrel that can be used underwater. So there's nothing necessary to adapt this end of the probe lens for use underwater. It is ready to go from Layla. Okay, I've got my split rings in place. The last thing now is my locking collar, the threaded locking collar, which I'll bring over and find where the threads begin. Tighten that in. And now when it goes loose until it seats onto the split rings, when it does that, you want to go just a little bit further, and then you're done. It's going to come to a stop, and you're done. The cone is now sealed around the barrel, which is exactly what we want. Okay, put my protective cover back onto the PeriProbe now. That is the steps involved in setting up the PeriProbe. So I'll walk through this once again, where I've set up my flex gears onto the lens. I've set up my lens gear drives so that I've got control from the housing on focus and iris. In this housing, I have a PE160 and 3 stackable port rings to bring out far enough so that the cone is in the right position to clear the lens gear drives and all and the guide bars, everything inside here. And then I go through the process of putting the split rings on the inside, mating the cone, putting the sealing O-ring in place, and then 2 split rings and a locking collar following it. Those are the steps for the setup of the PeriProbe. If you have any questions about this setup, you can find them in the manual, which is posted online. And of course, always feel free to give us a call. We can set up a video call with you to walk you through it as well if you're having any difficulty. But there you go, there's your setup. Now, at this point, the last 2 things are, of course, double check your function of your focus and iris, power up the camera, make sure everything is working the way you expect it to. And then, as a final step, do your seal check to make sure that the housing has integrity before you enter the water. This, of course, is always a great idea to know before you go that everything is good. All right, there you go, gang. If you need anything else, get in touch with us. And of course, never take a chance, take a Gates. Till next time.